Do you believe that justice is a core value of our society? As people, we strive to do the right thing and we want to be treated fairly. Yet, we are confronted with injustice every day, from poverty to hunger, to poor access to health care, to crime, and now to climate change. But there is a paradox. As Bob Bullard, distinguished professor and the father of the environmental justice movement in the United States, tells us, quote, "The people most responsible for climate change historically, globally, as well as domestically, are not the same people who are feeling the pain first, worst, and longest," unquote. Domestically, there are groups of people, Black and brown communities, that are disproportionately impacted by climate change. And globally, the same is true for specific groups of countries, particularly those that are constituted primarily by Black and brown people that were colonial subjects and that continue to be marginalized in the world system today. Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, and Puerto Rico are among the Caribbean small island developing states, or SIDS for short, that are on the front lines of climate change. These countries made negligible contributions to historical greenhouse gas emissions, yet they're experiencing and will continue to experience the brunt of the impacts. Impacts such as sea level rise, increasing sea surface temperatures, and increased intensity hurricanes that not only threaten their lives, but livelihoods. Climate-amplified events such as Hurricane Maria in 2017 cost Dominica 226% of its gross domestic product. So why should these small island developing states bear the financial burden of mitigating climate change and recovering from extreme weather events, especially when historically justice has been elusive for the most vulnerable people among us? The straightforward answer is they should not. At the core of climate justice is this idea that, quote, "those who have done the most to cause a climate crisis and who have the most resources must do the most to fix it," unquote. Climate change violates the rights of people in SIDS to enjoy a safe, healthy, and sustainable environment. Climate justice would accord them, their communities, and governments the substantive and procedural rights to take measures within their national legislative and judicial systems and at regional and international levels to mitigate and adapt to the impacts in a manner that respects human rights. In my own research, individually and collaboratively, I have shown why litigation alone is insufficient. Even the most optimal outcome of court action cannot deliver all types of justice. Recognition justice requires recognizing the injustices of the past to challenge societal norms today. Procedural justice requires ensuring the representation of all impacted people. Compensatory justice requires providing compensation for violations. Climate justice is therefore not unidimensional, it's complex, it's dynamic, it's multifaceted. So if you believe, like I believe, that justice is a core value of our society, here are 3 calls that you can help identify and amplify. The first call is recognizing that climate change affects all of us, but not equally. Development trajectories in SIDS continue to be negatively affected by their histories of colonialism. Global climate policies must continue to emphasize the principle of common but differentiated responsibility and respective capabilities. The second call is for adequate representation of and advocacy for SIDS in the consequential institutions, such as the International Monetary Fund. SIDS must get debt relief to create the fiscal space they need to address development challenges that are exacerbating their vulnerability. And the third and final call is for polluters to be held accountable and then to provide the financial assistance that SIDS need. Funding allocation decisions need to be transparent, and a country's vulnerability should drive where monies go. So let's strive to do the right thing and to advocate for ourselves and others to be treated fairly. We need action from all angles and at all levels to confront everyday injustices in our society, and that includes climate change.